Hey, how's it going? I have a bit of congestion today, as usual, but it's worse today for some reason. So, that aside, hi, please look at my signs. So, yeah, particular attention to the spoiler alert there. I'm gonna I'm gonna talk about a show from 2005 at some point. So, after I already did a post full moon slash eclipse video, and I don't know if you are aware of this, but you can feel them coming. I can for like 2-3 days up to a whole week beforehand. I can start getting real sketchy emotionally, behaviorally. I mean, this last time, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So you can feel them coming. You can feel them when they're happening. And you can still feel the effects of them for quite a while afterward. Days up to a month, I would say. Yeah, sure. So, this last time, I knew it was coming, and I knew the full moon and super moon, pink harvest moon, super because it's closer to the Earth in its ellipse, its orbit. So it's not coming to crash into us or anything. It's just sometimes on its route it gets close. I mean, it's all relative, because if it were super close, then we'd really feel like, I think, gravitational and tidal and magnetic planetary field, like all of that stuff, electrical magnetic, that it didn't come out right, but electric magnetical, what am I trying to say? That combination of electricity and magnetism that is in us, in the planet, emanating from hitting it. I don't know, it's all over the place. But I feel like if the big old moon, the big old moon was all, hi, I'm right here. I mean, gravity might screw up. Who knows? It would just not be right. This wouldn't. It's not meant to be there. But it's just like an optical illusion. But if you're fortunate enough to live in a place that doesn't have cloud cover all the time, and you can actually see full moons and super moons, yeah, I have moon envy. Okay, so I had like a hard time. By the time the day of the full moon arrived, it was like whatever I was feeling had peaked. Thank God. I was such a nut. But you know what happens is it just inflames everything. In personally, it does me. So whatever is going on, like that's what's going to be affected, is me and my my attitude and my behavior. Oh, good, I have a flippy fly. Oh, that's because I turned off the cloves. You got to keep that saucepan cloves going, or you end up with flies all the time because the window's open, because you have a cat, and you're basically a vegetarian, so you have all of this they love the smell of my trash can. Okay, where was I? On the moon. So yeah, by the time of the full moon itself, like the major effects of me feeling sketchy were over with. But for a couple of 3 days, 2-3 days before it, I just felt crazy. And like when craziness is happening, you can certainly see it outside of yourself. Like, I mean, I feel like it could have been affecting people around the debate and after the debate, and then when the bad Haitian rumors were coming out about about Ohio, like that was during that period. So, I mean, that's crazy talk. And I mean, that just told me I'm not the only one feeling it. The stuff was going on anyway, but it was really kind of peaking and getting kind of super kooky. So, what I did is I was able to sort of edit myself. What I'm trying to say is because it was my stuff and I was getting all emotionally inflamed, it was making me think about stuff, and then thinking about stuff made me want to say stuff. And it's not, when you know you're not in your right mind, you shouldn't be trying to talk to people. And luckily it's text, so it's not you're actually talking to the person, because then your pheromones get involved, and imagine how heightened the crazy could get. So, and then I'm talking to a person who's just like so even all the time. It's weird. Compared to myself. Anyway, so it was very hard to resist the temptation to say stuff. And it, wouldn't need to be said if I wasn't feeling so, like, wacky, But I was able to exercise some restraint, and, it didn't come across as, like, totally crazy and just, like, yelling, or there's no yelling involved, but, things can be left unsaid, like, you don't have to say everything that comes to mind. But I did, and then because I was able to exercise some restraint for a change, I feel like it's the first time, because I always forget. I get so whipped up in the crazy that I forget, oh wait, you know all of these techniques to deal with this. You don't have to feel crazy. So I did a bunch of the techniques, and I was like, damn, I still feel really crazy. This is nuts. I feel like if I feel this way, other people got to be feeling stuff too, which makes life interesting. On a different note, I may have mentioned this, like I take a ride for exercise in the neighborhood probably about 6 days a week, and I have a few different routes that I like to take, and this one that I have been taking since I've been going, I was seeing this sort of messed up bag, like it's some sort of, like, maybe a camera bag is what it used to be, but it had been out in the weather, and the seams were busted, and it was filled with something. So the first time I saw it, I pulled closer to it because it was on the ground by the street, and I pulled over closer to it on my bike, and I look in this thing, and it's got Legos in it, and I was like, huh. And I had just seen a story about stores getting robbed, like their marijuana dispensaries, people driving the cars through the walls and then stuffing the car full of stuff and, taking off, and then the people there, it's franchisees. They don't, whatever. I mean, if you have a business and you get robbed and they clean you out like these people did, they left, like, I don't even know, like, it seems like with Lego, every part is for something, but they left, like, the equivalent of sticks and seeds behind and took all the good stuff. But when they are saying this and showing it, the stores, like walls of shelves, 360, like nothing on them. And it was more than one store. It was like a flap, like this wave of thefts of Lego. And then I guess there's a black market, obviously. And so they're expensive anyway, like just in a store when you buy them legitimately. I think they're expensive, and there's a lot of money to be made if I'm not getting there fast enough. So I'm aware of this as I see them, and so I just keep going by them for like 2 weeks and just like, nobody picked it up. Like every day I can't believe no one picked it up. And then I always need more money. And I just was looking at it, and what I think my feeling was is that I know that there would be a degree of like work involved with selling them. I would have to find out how much each piece was worth, and then go from there and decide. Like, my first impulse was like Facebook Marketplace, which might still be a possibility. But today I talked to somebody with a store, and they were not really in the market to buy any, but we talked about maybe networking, and he wanted to see what I had, so like he can at least advise me. But I know that earlier today, the person that comes to work with me, that the state sends, she and I were looking at them because I was like, this is what I want to do tomorrow, is pull all of these out of this messed up bag. Like, I can put them in something else, but take them out of this messed up dirty container and clean them. Like, just put them in the shower and throw some Joy dish soap on them or something, because they are actually not like dirty really. There's lots of accessories that they seem to be complete, like police set, fireman set, fire truck, what's the other one, some kind of little, I thought it looks like a short bus, school bus. I thought it was a school bus. It's some other kind of bus, like a tourist bus. It has Christmas wreaths on the side. Oh, and there's a Christmas tree in there, and yeah, I mean, and then when we opened up like the police trailer thing, because it has like a truck in the front, and then you can put like a mobile trailer on it, like as they would have in reality, and this thing's got like a command office on it, this trailer, right? It's got like the police little truck, and then the trailer's got a mobile command section, a cell, and then like, I don't know, it has like wrenches and stuff in there, and the motorcycle fits, so I don't know, parts and utilities. It's crazy. I was like, this is nuts. And it's like, oh my God. So either I have to like do some work and figure it out, how much do these things cost? So I actually went and looked, and you know what? One little facade, like, I guess it's, of course the pictures are tiny, and it looks like it's a building, I guess. And just this little brick, $1,000-something. I was like, no, really? So it would be foolish of me not to investigate all of that, right? I don't want to do it. I went to that site and looked, and it's like, I have to do more work than I am really willing to do, because I'm busy. I'm already doing stuff. But okay, I'll sure do more stuff. This is supposed to be my leisure and retirement. I don't want to do what I don't want to do, but it's money. So, okay, yeah, right. There's where I am with that. Then my caregiver, while we're doing that, she's like, you know, I had bought my daughter a set, and they're the girl ones. They're purple and yellow or something. And I'm like, oh, okay. But she said, it's just like this, though. And I'm like, there's still Legos. And she's like, you can have them to sell. And I'm like, well, don't you want to sell them? She's like, I have a job. And I'm like, okay. So now I really am going to have a lot of them, I guess. Like, this is my new business. I had been asking and praying for money because I get just below enough from my Social Security. And there's always some expense or other surprise that pops up that you just need, and I never have the money for it, and I'm sick of it. So I was like, I need money. And then Legos happened. So I'm just saying, I can't ignore it all as like a big old Lego hammer hitting me in the head saying, here, get up off your ass, make a little effort, you can have your stupid money. Cool. Cool. Don't get me wrong. Okay, so that's one thing. And then here was yesterday. I've been watching Prison Break. It's it's an old TV show that used to come on Fox, and it has Wentworth Miller and Dominic. Something. I'm thinking of the last names of all these other Dominics, but not his. Powell, no? I can look. So anyway, I had put it out there on the internet and asked my friends, like, I want something episodic with seasons so I can just have something I can click on and it's not, it's just easy. Can someone recommend either, I'm thinking about Prison Break or Suits. So a good friend of mine that knows me very well said, oh, you should go with Prison Break. That's probably your speed. And I was like, okay. So I started watching it, and, it is. It's a little dated because it's old, but I can handle it. It's not like The West Wing, which I couldn't handle at all. Beside the point. And I was enjoying it, and I'm usually watching probably 3 or 4 things at once, like a show or a movie, and then like YouTube, which is all over the place. So I just dip in and out, and I was like, okay, so I want a sci-fi like that, though. Like it's hard to find one anymore that doesn't run for like 2 seasons, and you're like, and then they cancel it, and you're like, damn, I really like that show. So I found this show on Peacock, and it's from 2005 called The Triangle. And it has so much stuff in it that is sort of topical today that the way they talk about it then, it could be now. Like all of the paranormal stuff, and the triangle they're referring to is the Bermuda Triangle, and so the story is based around that. And this show, it has Sam Neill, Eric Stoltz, okay, brain, you're just gonna break on me. It has a bunch of famous people. Lou Diamond Phillips and some other names that are not as well known, but character actors that you will know their face. So I'm like, wow, this is great, like great subject, I'm into it, and the plot is good. Like they did such a good job. So like yesterday was Big Synchronicity Day. I find out while I'm watching neither of those shows that they both have Bryan Singer in the credits. Bryan Singer is a name I know from the series Supernatural, which is an Eric Kripke show, and Eric Kripke is also the guy who's the creator of The Boys. And Bryan Singer in Supernatural and The Boys is both a actual person and a character inside the show's universe. And for some reason he's always like, people are always after him. He's always like he's got a target. He's like a bad guy. So I did not realize that both Prison Break and The Triangle were Bryan Singer associated shows. So ding, there's a synchronicity there. And then I'm watching The Triangle, and there's time travel involved because the time gets wavy once you wander inside the active triangle. And then it turns out that like they're trying to turn off the Manhattan experiment. Is that what it was? The one with the ship that disappeared and came back. They were trying to make it invisible, but they ended up sending it to another dimension. And I guess when it returned, which they didn't have any control over, they lost control of it, sounds like immediately, because of forces that they don't even understand. And they're we do it all the time. So anyway, the people that were on this Navy like battleship, like a carrier ship, it did disappear, but it wasn't that it became invisible. It like actually went to another place, another dang dimension, and it kept coming back, and it was coming back in other places, and people were like, "What the hell is that doing here? Wait, where'd it go?" And it was just like, and but that you're not even supposed to like. That's one of those things like, what UFOs? Don't talk about it. It was that kind of thing. And it definitely is in that zone of like paranormal weirdness. So in the show, or like, sorry, let me finish about the oh shoot, what was the ship? They even said the name. Well, anyway, when the people on the ship and the ship kept coming back to this dimension, it finally came back to where it started, I guess, or they went to someplace where it stopped finally. And what they discovered is that, I guess because it was moving around, maybe, the people that were on it ended up coming back, fused, like, into the ship itself. Like, people, like, their bodies, like, in the wall, like, there's no pictures, but I imagine, like, you know, part of a torso sticking out, or, like, half a head inside of the wall, and because that was the description that I heard, that's what it was like. So I mean, that like blows my mind. I can't imagine what it did to the people that witnessed it, and then also some of the people that it happened to were like conscious when they were found, and you know, obviously some of them died because where did their parts go that are in the ship? Like, what? Like, so, in the show, what the Navy is trying to do is the plot, the premise is that Sam Neill is this entrepreneur, this millionaire shipping magnate, and his ships that are going in the triangle keep disappearing, and he's obviously like a big supplier of like United States stuff. And supplies are going missing, people are going missing, ships are going missing, and these are huge things. I don't even know how to describe, like, probably something a couple of, like a football field or 3 or 4 size vehicle. That would be expensive. So that character's freaking out, so he gets together a team, and it's not the A, B, or C team, it's like the F team, but no one wanted to do his weird Bermuda Triangle detective job, and so he got like the F team, but they turn out to be pretty good. None of them are physicists, they're all from these weird fields, but I mean, I like the way they did that, because that's kind of how people are. Like, you can have more than one area of expertise. You really can. And also, people are smart. They can think, you know, vertically, horizontally, and asymmetrically. Like, I think, like, in reality, right now, people are starting to realize that people that don't have degrees can do the things that the people with the degrees can do, and understand it, and sometimes understand it and do it even better than the people with the degree. So I think that's sort of becoming more of a understanding, and I hope a reality too. And I feel like that was the sort of dynamic of this team. Like, all these people talented in different ways, and then they just have incidental skills. Like, a couple of them can fly planes, and they're not pilots by profession, so people are like that too. I just like the dash of reality. So here was the other thing while I'm watching it. They are having the effects of this time travel with, like the ship did, like the Manhattan experiment ship, and they're bouncing through time, they're going all over the place. Like, there's this one great scene where some of it takes place in Florida, and they're on those long bridges, excuse you, that connect like the islands and the mainland. And I don't know if you know what Florida looks like, but that's one of the features there. And it's kind of interesting, and you like, I look at it and think, well, I hope nothing happens when you're out on the middle of one of those things. I don't know what kind of happen I'm thinking of, but something disastrous. Sorry. Something disastrous can happen. And it does, like in the show, but this is obviously, this wouldn't happen, we hope, but the time waves are bouncing around, and some of the protagonists are like in a car, because there's a bunch of the protagonists. So like 4 of them are in a car and they're on this bridge and they're racing somewhere, but you can't see in this shot, you can't see mainland or where they came from. They're just on this endless bridge with just water surrounding, and you're up pretty high, and I don't know why that's like a little frightening to me, like something could happen. But anyway, they're in the car on the bridge, and someone's in a truck trying to run into them, and they're like, all of a sudden, because they don't realize it until it starts happening, but the viewer knows this truck is on them and following them and coming to get them, and it starts trying to ram them and everything, and then the world in front of them starts looking like shower door glass, like can't quite see through it, and it's kind of bubbly nubbly, but moving, or like boiling water, I don't know. It's a weird effect. And it's like eating up the bridge and the world, and it's getting closer, and it ends up like eating this truck which has gotten in front of them. It's like slid or something, because it's realized that that's in front of them, and it's like, whoa, you turn. And then everybody realizes that the same thing is happening behind them, so the bridge is getting shorter on either end of you, and yes, it's doing stuff. The bubbly moving glass thing is also behind them, and it's great. So the people in the car are just all, the car disappears, the bridge disappears, and they're just all, whoa, falling, and they land in the ocean. And here's what I thought. They're in the Florida high sunshine, and it's Eric Stoltz, the pale ginger, and this other actor with, he's older, and I guess he has gray hair, but he could just be a towhead guy, like really white blonde hair. But I'm just thinking, these 2 guys are out there in the ocean in all that sun with no sunscreen. Time travel hazard you just don't think of. And then things happen, and they end up different places, and they're back on the bridge. So the thing is the Navy, these people are like trying to figure out why this entrepreneurs' ships are disappearing and why these phenomena are happening. And then they discover the Navy is there doing stuff. So they're like, oh my God, they're trying to make a weapon. They're messing with the weather, which is a thing that's been theorized in real life. Just as an aside, that they would deny, and yet my psychics are saying they have been messing with the weather, and they have lost control of it, and that's partly why our weather has been so severe and insane. And oh goody. So back to the show. In the show, that's what they're thinking, is like the evil Navy is doing stuff with the weather. Well, turns out super rich guy is buddies with the Secretary of the Navy, so they go talk. And what the Navy has been trying to do since the Manhattan experiment is they believe they created a tear in space-time, and stuff's going back and forth, and I guess there's some kind of weird vacuum suction situation. I don't know. they don't have time to explain all that stuff. But the guy from the Navy is like, yeah, I was there. I was on that ship, the Manhattan Experiment, and he starts like taking off his jacket and he's doing something with his pants and he's got like a fake leg and like some fake arms. I shouldn't laugh because that happened to real people, but it's so nuts. My brain is just like, that's funny. So I guess he was like one of the casualties on that ship. And he said that what the Navy has been doing ever since then is trying to close that because it just never stopped happening because, of course, they lost control of it because, of course, they're messing with forces they don't understand because they don't have the technology. Like, why do we always do it? Why do we think, like, at what point the Navy guy is like, we're going to go fight Mother Nature? And I'm like, with what? How? How? Dumb! It's like, sorry, I get excited. But it's like, our military's they're like, we're at war with ETs, or we could be at war. And I'm like, and, as in, what do you think we can do? Like, we jump up and go running after them. We got lucky and shot at some of them and caught them. Well, I think every time that's happened, the reason why it was able to happen was because the ship was in some form of disrepair and they were trying to not crash and destroy their ship, but get it down and hopefully repaired. And then here we come and start shooting various things at them. So terrible for relations, that last bit. And other than that, though, like, I don't know how we can be in a silly little jet and look at something in seconds go 500,000 times the distance with the speed that it can do, like, and be right back. Like, we can just see it happen. We can't do that. That right there is enough for me to understand. We can't. We can't fight that. I mean, it just an accident happened because there's shit. You know, it's like, boy, are we arrogant. We're so vain and dumb and everything else. But yeah, that guy is like, yeah, we're gonna fight Mother Nature. I'm like, good luck with that. And then okay, so that was funny. But here was the other thing that really got me. I mean, a lot of the other stuff obviously got me. I'm like, I love it. But they popped into one time period where it was like, this was like made in 2005, but I want to say the clothes looked very 90s but modern, right? But there was giant swastika flags everywhere and a big giant truck full of like Nazis in brown shirts and crap. Insignia and like the whole nine, and they jump out and they're like randomly snatching citizens, and other citizens are seeing this and are just all, it's Tuesday, Nazi pickup day or something. But and then they flashed right back out of it, and the white-haired guy who's a psychic, and also but not like uneducated either, he says, well, we just gotta look at what America could be like in another dimension or in 20 years. And I'm like, 20 years, that's about now. From 2005. So yeah, those little, like I always say, it's exposure. They'll be waiting for disclosure. Like, they're not going to be all, hi, the aliens are here. Here's all of the information you ever wanted. Apparently, they're just not going to do it that way. Our authorities or theirs. So, some of us can't handle it. Some of us are not ready. Some of us are somewhat resentful about that. Like, catch up. Come on. Anyway, sidetrack. Well, now I'm lost. Oh, yeah, so the show's like telling us all the way back in 2005, and you might be thinking that's not what they were telling us, but that's the way they sneak the messages in. That is the way they tell us. That is how they disclose things to us with a spoonful of sugar. Like, we can look at Alien and it scares the pants out of a lot of people, but we'll still go to that. And there are a group of them that will say, we let you go on and have a scary impression of us like that on purpose because we want you to be afraid of us until you can stop shooting at us, which has always been my assumption. And then come to find out later, well, of course that's right, because they don't want to get shot down out of the sky either, not any more than we do. So, and I don't know. I don't want to get into that. It's like very textured, very involved, a lot of stuff to talk about. So skip it. Okay, so then that was Synchronicity, though, the two singer shows. And then bees was another thing. So I have a friend that I met online, and they're called Keidis, and they are they're like one of my tree people, and they are like a media person like myself, like movies and television, and we share like, hey, check this out, or they post what they're watching, and I do that from time to time as well. So she had posted The Beekeeper, which I had been seeing on, I don't even remember which streamer it's on, but I have it. And I had started it actually because I saw that it was Jason Statham, and those are, I mean, if you've seen a Jason Statham movie, then you know what to expect. And she was on there talking about it. She's on I think we were on Blue Sky at this time, but she's like, yeah, I'm watching this really bad movie, and I like bad movies too. And I was like, well, what about it? And I saw that it was The Beekeeper. And so I have a thing about bees. I like them very much. I love them. And then there's like the bee survival and the bee necessity to human life theme that goes throughout The Beekeeper. But, I started it and I was like, oh, okay, I see what this is. And then I was like, okay, I think I want something else. But I came back to it and I did eventually finish it. And so I wanted to go back and talk to Keidis about it, but I didn't really have an opening. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say. I'm not going to explain it right now, but I just haven't gone back and talked about it yet. And then at that point, I was like, whatever, I have this other thing I want to watch. And it happened to be a YouTube comedy / politics channel called Some More News. And like, I'm like a total fan. I watch every episode. And so it came on, and he's talking about, if you want to know what type of show this is, if you've seen like Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, it's along those lines. It calls out like injustices and social injustices and things along that line. Like, you understand. So sometimes it is funny, and sometimes it's too real, and it's a bummer. So honestly, I've only watched a little bit of it. I plan to go back, which is good because the weekend's coming in viewing slugs. So anyway, but here's the point where I stopped, though. I was just disgusted, and I was about to turn it off, and he did one of these, it's like a blah, and then they'll do like a cutaway, and the cutaway was The Beekeeper, that movie, and I was like, ding, sink. And then I was out later, and the reason why they're significant to me all of the time is because for years they were just everywhere around here where I live in the vegetation. And then one year they just drastically were either not there, or I've seen them in so few numbers, it is just alarming. So also, oh no, I'm spitting. So also on my exercise route, there is a woman, a neighbor lady, and she has a beautiful garden. She just does so well. I mean, and she doesn't mind that I like to cool down there, which means I will go, she's on a corner lot, so I'll come down one way and then go down the other way, like very slowly, inhaling the nice scents of the flowers. And I like bees. I don't care if they come near me and land on me. I'm not afraid of them. So anyway, yesterday I'm finishing my ride, and it's not like the season of stuff growing is winding down, and there's some decorative stuff that doesn't really smell like much, but it's nice to look at, you know. So that's really what's going on in her garden right now. And then I pass by, and she has this big rosemary bush, and that's always a great thing for me to stop by and inhale, just because I don't know if you've paid attention, but they're all over the place, just growing wild, and properties use them for like a decorative plant. They smell amazing. Check it out. So as I'm doing my cool down, I'll just slowly pass by there, and I stopped to smell that, but then I realized this other bush was flowering, and it hadn't been, and it was like surprising. Like I wasn't expecting to see all these new blooms, and I don't even know what kind of plant it was. She wasn't home, so I couldn't ask her. But the petals it kind of remind me of a hibiscus flower, but it had this yellow sort of cone deal coming out of the center. I don't remember the name, pistil. And it's kind of nubbly. Like I've seen other plants with big, like waxy, kind of flatter leaves with these big yellow cone tipped pistils coming out of them. And those are kind of smooth. On this plant, though, they were almost like a ear of baby corn with, you could just see how thick it was with pollen. And like I was just by there like 2 days ago, and this bush wasn't doing a damn thing. And then today, I didn't go by it yesterday, but you know, I was out there, but I didn't go that way. Yesterday, they was like busting out with flowers, buds, like, we're gonna do it too, hurry. Like, it's gonna be a fast blooming season, I think. But bees, the thing had more bees than I'd seen in one place in a couple of years now. I was so happy. I just and the flowers smelled really, like they had a smell. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm in heaven. I'm just over there sitting there with my eyes closed, smelling the plant and letting the bees buzz around me. It was, oh my gosh, I feel so happy about that. I miss my bees. So that was a bee sync. What else happened after that? I don't know. I no longer remember what I was going to talk about, because now I feel like I'm talked out. I did pull some cards. Maybe I'll do them later on a different deal. I feel talked out, to be honest. But I just wanted to say that, in conclusion, after the full moon eclipse deal, I knew I was going to feel different. I knew everyone was going to feel different. I knew that it was going to be like a major feeling event. Because I knew it was like a huge moon and also an eclipse. Like, that's enough. But also, for the previous week before it, all kinds of videos were like clickbait hell, like bright colors and it's coming, watch out, you're gonna change, everything's gonna be different, you're not gonna be... It's like a crazed car lot of ads on there, or crazed panel of ads just screaming at you, going crazy. Like, that's what it was like. As much as I scroll up and down, there were so many of these things. Like, so I had an idea something was to be expected. And then also the way it was making me feel. I knew that at the very least, I wasn't going to feel crazy anymore.